We are now 30 days into Trump's presidency, and already there's been a flurry of activity. Hi, I'm Clarissa Cuenca.
And I'm Dylan Luden. The Senate has confirmed Trump appointee Kash Patel as FBI director.
The yeas are 51. The nays are 49. The confirmation is confirmed.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, guys.
The margin of victory was slim. Republicans Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska joined Senate Democrats in voting against Patel's confirmation. Patel has been outspoken about his desire to remove what he refers to as the deep state from government. He has also floated shutting down the FBI headquarters in D.C. Other cabinet members confirmed by the Senate include Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary, Pam Bondi as Attorney General, and Linda McMahon is awaiting confirmation as Secretary of Education.
President Trump described the president of Ukraine as a, quote, dictator without elections. He claimed Europe has failed to bring peace, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy wants to, quote, keep the gravy train going. Even though Russia invaded Ukraine, Trump says Ukraine was responsible for starting the war. He claims Kyiv could have made a deal to avoid the conflict altogether.
Some of the oversights in speech from our president have been not very presidential and not democratic at all. So that is, yeah, it's a scary thought to listen to that and understand that we don't really have much say in what's going on, and nor does the Ukrainian government.
Trump's comments are affecting more than just Ukraine. Students here at USC are feeling the impact as well.
Ukraine still, we still think for ourselves. We will still do our elections for ourselves. Of course, I have to feel hopeful about the future because it's the only thing that's driving us right now, hope. It's going to affect the future of Ukraine for years. But we have very resilient people that have been, withstanding everything all this time.
Russia announced it would agree to a ceasefire on the condition that Ukraine abandons its plan to join NATO, honors Russian territory claim, and does not recognize its pre-war borders. Russia also demanded that all U.S. and Western sanctions against the country be lifted. We talked to someone involved with helping some of the victims of the war.
A lot of Ukrainians were hoping that, maybe if Trump comes into office, he'll be able to resolve, given the history between him and Putin, something. But it seems so that he's officially, seems like, picking a side. You shouldn't have to give something up just because somebody else is being aggressive towards you.
President Trump's comments have left the world feeling uncertain about the future of Ukraine and the future of America's relationship with that country.
The Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, run by Elon Musk, is continuing massive layoffs throughout government agencies. Some already targeted included the IRS, the National Park Service, and the Agricultural Department.
A lot of people think of government jobs as being so secure. When I was taking this position, they were telling me about the promotion potential at the end of that 1 year. I was really planning to be in the federal government for a long time. There's a lot of mistrust now between these employees and the federal government when this was handled in such a inhumane disregard for our well-being way.
And the termination letter actually states the agency finds, based on your performance, that you have not demonstrated that your further employment at the agency would be in the public interest. My performance evaluation was given to me at the same time, and I met all of the fully successful critical elements.
Workers across the country are facing similar problems. Those who remain employed face uncertainty in knowing how long they will have their jobs.
It sometimes feels like they're doing surgery with a hand grenade. The legislative branch is really not doing much to resist or push back on the Trump administration's agenda. So that leaves many looking at lawsuits. They're meeting with some success.
14 states filed lawsuits a week ago against DOGE, arguing that Musk's range of power is unconstitutional. They are trying to stop Musk from canceling contracts and gaining access to classified data.
The Trump administration's order to slash funding for the indirect cost of health research, like lab equipment, buildings, utilities, is already affecting research at USC. These costs for National Institutes of Health grants would be capped at 15%, down from 60% at USC. Admissions for PhD research programs was paused due to uncertainty about future projects. Jennifer Unger directs the PhD program in health behavior research.
I just heard this morning, from our student services advisor that she can go ahead and accept them now. So they're being accepted February 20th, instead of the first week of February or second week. And some of them have gotten other offers. I've heard, they say, I already got an offer from this other university. Are you going to make me an offer too so I can compare?
The administration has cut $4 billion from NIH grant research fundings, specifically for overhead costs. Medical organizations in 22 states are challenging the NIH cuts. Tomorrow in Boston, both sides will be presenting their case before a federal judge.
The LA Times published an article earlier this month about potential large-scale immigration raids in Los Angeles. Information reportedly found in leaked documents from federal law enforcement. California, Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, and Arizona are some of the states facing the highest risk of ICE detention in the country. In just 1 month, nearly 22,000 people were detained. Students with the undocumented Trojan Success Assembly shared their concerns.
I've been told by my own parents and family members not to go out, to just go to school, to go to my classes, and just to know my rights. And that's all you can do right now. It's a scary thing to live in fear when you know that you're a human being that's trying their best in this world.
It's not fair that students have to look through orgs to try to find resources. I think the USC needs to do a better job at promoting the resources that are on campus and how to support their own students.
Immigration experts also shared why sanctuary cities like Los Angeles and Chicago are being targeted by ICE and what measures community groups are taking.
If we've seen anything about this presidency, Trump is all about optics, all about a show. And I think targeting Los Angeles, the leaking the documents, I think is very much part of this publicity.
The minute that we hear that, if there are raids happening, we will be there, all of us. The community will take care of itself. And we will never be able to rely on the state or the city of Los Angeles in order to do that. We rely on each other. And so, we will be there. We'll be ready to fight.
The USC Immigration Clinic has an emergency hotline for students and faculty to call if detained by U.S. immigration. The number is 213-740-7435.
A Trump cabinet member made a visit out west today, bearing some bad news for Los Angelinos. Our very own Vincent DeMonte has the story. Vincent, it's been one crazy day. What's going on?
Yep, that is certainly right, Clarissa. We are here live at Union Station, where earlier today the Secretary of Transportation, along with some local legislators, spoke about the future of a controversial California project. California's high-speed rail was first proposed in 1979. Today, the Trump administration is taking a closer look at if it should continue funding the project. 8 lawmakers and a cabinet member appeared skeptical about its future.
I think there's a demand by the American taxpayer to make sure the money is being spent well, and to make sure that the California voting population, the California taxpayer, understands, even though they may be excited about this project, the project's not going to happen. There is no timeline in which you're going to have a high-speed rail that goes from LA to San Francisco. That timeline does not exist.
A modern-day Stonehenge. That's the phrase Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy used to describe the planned high-speed railway project cutting through California. In 2008, Californians voted to approve more than $9 billion to be spent on the railway. The 800-mile track would stretch from San Francisco to Los Angeles and would include a shorter route connecting Merced to Bakersfield. According to the Transportation Department, this plan has been a huge cost to Americans.
The way is going to be completed for $106 billion, which, just to do some simple math, that's 3 times the original proposal for how much this project would cost.
Protesters interrupted the news conference chanting for Duffy to, quote, save the rails. One protester viewed the move to reevaluate the railway project as a hit against the average worker in California.
Working class people don't necessarily have access to a car. Gas is expensive, and just another way that it feels like the federal administration right now is not prioritizing working class people.
An online activist who goes by the name of Lola Lounge created a character she calls the Democracy Dino.
I look for events where certainly MAGA representatives are going to be there, and this was a great opportunity to speak directly to the administration. So commuting is essential, and I think just connection with this state, as large as it is, it's ridiculous to me that it wouldn't save both climate impact as well as people's money.
The feds plan to review the California High-Speed Rail Authority to, quote, follow through on the commitments for federal funds. In a couple of months, we'll see if this project will truly leave the station. High-speed railway may be a little bit up in the air at this point. There is some good news for people hoping to have a quicker transportation here in California. The Secretary of Transportation did note in today's briefing that the railway from Los Angeles to Las Vegas is on schedule and continues to be within the budget that the Secretary of Transportation is allowing them. So hopefully, as if everything goes according to plan and everything stays the same, we hopefully will have a new high-speed option in the state. Well, that's it for me. For Annenberg Media, I'm Vincent DeMonte.
You know, as a Bay Area native, I'd love to see a more efficient way to get from LA to back home, like some Disneyland monorail type thing, you know?
Yeah, I love the monorail Disneyland. I wish we had like a real live train that we could take to San Francisco in such a short amount of time. And I'm visiting my sister at Sonoma State during spring break, and I would have loved to take that train to go up to watch her play.
Exactly. Well, don't go anywhere. After the break, Trojan Democrats and Republicans share their thoughts on Trump's first 30 days.
One egg expert talked about why egg prices are so high.
And the Trump administration cuts funding for wildfire prevention projects.
Let me tell you how we amplify our Latine voices. Check out Dímelo. We have it all. Deportes.
Entertainment. Noticias. ¿Qué tal? Soy Mariela Gómez y bienvenidos a Dime la Hora.
Radio and podcasting.
Comida y cultura. Digital social media.
¿A qué equipo le vas tú? LA Galaxy o LAFC? Dímelo is the only Latina-focused media outlet at USC. Dímelo. We have it all.
Dímelo. We have it all.
Want quality name brand carpet for less?
Call Empire and you can get quality carpet at the lowest price guaranteed. And no payments for 1 year.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
I've replaced your shoelaces with fruit by the foot.
So you did. I replaced your fingers with fruit by the foot.
Bravo. I've replaced your bones with fruit by the foot.
Indeed you have. I replaced your guitar strings with fruit by the foot.
Seems like a step backwards, but alright. I've replaced your DNA with fruit by the foot. That would be end of game, my friend.
Fruit by the foot. Fruit-flavored snack.
If you've been to the market lately, you know that egg prices have been climbing. Annenberg Media's Kayla Quintero went to a local Costco where people are lining up and buying dozens of eggs.
Lines of customers wrapped around Costco in Monterey Park ahead of opening hours has become the new norm every day over the last few weeks. The craze is the result of an egg shortage caused by a bird flu outbreak.
I couldn't find any parking. Wonder why? It's only the weekend. It's like what third time the weekend. People are going crazy, and what was there? Pretty soon they'll be fighting for the eggs like they fight for parking.
Thousands of U.S. federal workers were laid off mid-February. Many of those included USDA workers fighting the avian influenza epidemic.
I think it's reckless to fire folks, especially with inflation going on.
And then the concern of the bird flu.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the price of eggs has risen by around 28% in the past year. The average price tag of a dozen eggs being at $4.95 as of January has left shoppers, including restaurants and bakeries, feeling the pinch. I'm here outside of Langer's Deli, which is just one of many businesses in Los Angeles that has been impacted by the rising cost of eggs. Now, this popular Los Angeles deli has implemented a temporary 50-cent per egg surcharge in order to offset the rising cost of eggs. One food safety expert says any concerns about eating eggs should be eased by the process that these products undergo before hitting store shelves.
You want to look for a P with a circle, either blue or red. And that would say that they have been pasteurized. So when you consume those eggs, called in-shell pasteurization, there is virtually no risk relative to either salmonella or any of the viruses that might be associated with avian flu.
He added that despite the recent loss of USDA workers, poultry farmers are subject to guidelines and inspections by the agency that ensure the safety of the egg supply.
At the end of the day, we have one of the world's safest food supply. Let's keep it safe and let's cook the eggs.
And customers are clearly willing to line up to get them. For Annenberg Media, I'm Kayla Quintero.
Well, Kayla, you went to Costco and you kind of just saw everything wide out in the open. Were eggs kind of the one item that all the customers were flocking to?
Most definitely. From the moment I got there, I was already shocked by the line that, like you saw, was wrapping around the building. But when I got in there, it was just chaos with the carts, everyone trying to get into that freezer section with the eggs. So yeah, just a lot of people there for the eggs. And I know I spoke with a Costco employee actually who said that they've had to limit the amount that customers are able to purchase during their visit. So about 2 weeks ago, they were allowing customers to purchase up to 25 of those packets of eggs. But now they've really dropped that number down to 3 per customer. But even then, I still saw people coming out with carts of eggs, and I was like, do you have a business or a restaurant, anything of that sort? And they would actually just have some of their family members come and purchase that 3 limit per person just to really stock up on those eggs.
Well, you mentioned it was chaos. Well, were people flocking to the eggs? Was it more like organized chaos? Were they all rushing to go to the eggs and it was all kind of orderly fashion? Or was it, a lot of bumping and shoving and trying to make their way to the eggs first?
I can't get the sound of carts crashing into one another from the time that I was there. Just from the second I got there, and I was actually walking in with a man who I spoke to. I was walking into the Costco, and we're all lined up trying to file into the Costco, and people were really, really pushy when it came to, getting in there. And I just thought it was kind of crazy because I understand everyone's trying to get their eggs, but it's like we're all going to the same place. And that Costco employee even told me that sometimes it'll get so chaotic with people pushing and shoving when they're getting these eggs that, some of them will end up breaking, and toward the end, when there's only a limited availability of these eggs, they'll start kind of building their own packets of eggs by picking through the ones that are half broken, half still good, and moving them to a container so they have a full package of good eggs that are not cracked. And yeah, I did see some of those cracked eggs on the floor. So it's real. The chaos is real there.
Well, hopefully the chaos settles down in the next couple of weeks. But thanks again, Kayla, for going to Costco and talking to some of the customers.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan.
And back to Clarissa on the desk.
The Trump administration has suspended funding for wildfire prevention initiatives, raising concerns about how California will pay for these expensive but effective efforts.
I mean, it is a slash and burn approach by people who actually have no expertise in these areas. What they're doing is really cutting programs that will be regretted.
Wildfire mitigation is expensive. Prescribed burns and costly yet effective way of preventing wildfires and restoring forest health.
There's a historic deficit in doing prescribed burns, so it will simply delay and make make it much a longer period of time before we get the kinds of prescribed burns that are needed. So it just means that probably we'll have more fires.
California funds much of its own fire initiative efforts. This year's state budget allocated $1.5 billion. Last year, voters approved another $1.5 billion for forest health and wildfires.
The first month of Trump's second term has brought a wave of new policies and orders. President Trump has issued a total of 73 executive orders in his first 30 days in office, more than any president in recent history. His orders range from mass government spending cuts to renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Representatives from both the USC College Republicans and Trojan Democrats evaluated the flurry of executive orders from Trump's first month in office.
Donald Trump has really hit the ground running with what he has done in just, the first month. He has made sure there's no biological men and women's sports. He has stopped the border at the invasion in the southern border. And he's, made sure that America is back on top, and that's been his priorities.
I feel like his first month in office has been defined by political messaging and, things that are not relevant to the American people's lives, like renaming the Gulf of Mexico. Those things have no tangible impacts on the lives of everyday Americans, especially today when the prices of groceries are skyrocketing, employment's rising, and people are facing insecurity with their jobs, education, so many things.
A few other USC students shared what they like and dislike about the actions of the Trump administration during its first 30 days.
I think he's trying to usurp power from the legislative branch, and I think it's all for the purpose of cutting government spending so government works poorly and rich people can have more money.
I really like the work that Doge is doing with Elon, of course. I think eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse is something that's been talked about by many past administrations, both left and right.
A lot of the research that people do focuses on socio-demographic characteristics. A lot of that now cannot be researched because of funding that has been cut, all under the umbrella of diversity and inclusion.
Thanks for watching See It Live. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Dylan Luden.
And I'm Clarissa Cuenca. For more coverage, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time. Good night.